Oh, it's real simple. If you really want the, I don't want to scare you or anything like this, they continue hating everybody else. Hi, this is Nicole from Purple Custom, and in today's video I'm going to cover the differences and the similarities between my Dynamo LED lights with USB charging, the companion and the Stalker. I've been getting a lot of questions which one is right for my riding style or the uses I need. Besides the obvious cosmetic differences, there's some differences inside and the electronics. So I'm going to cover, after you watch it, you'll be able to choose the one which is more suited to your riding needs. So let me flip the camera and we're going to get into all the details. Here we go, I've plugged them both. I've also plugged in my tiny rear light into each one. So the top one is the one for the companion and the bottom one is the one for the Stalker, just to show you as well how the switching works. So here we go, the companion versus the Stalker in 10 minutes or less. So first of all, they both have the same form factor, 75mm, 44mm diameter. They both have a 10mm mount, M6 mounting. Price, this is also something that is important. The companion is slightly cheaper than the Stalker, but they're all more or less in the same price bracket. Screw in the back. They have one cable for power, one for remote, and a connector for the rear light and a LED indicator ring. So this is the common part. Both have the same optics, both have a STV0 cutoff. And now let's go into the differences. First of all, cosmetic. They both come by default in black like this. If you want silver, only the companion comes in silver. They're also available in matte black or in whatever limited edition I decide. Currently, this is my personal Stalker. This is the Spectre Grey limited edition at launch. So if you want a silver, companion is your option. If you don't care, if you're fine with black or matte colors, then either is fine. Also, the Stalker is from the Shadow Ops line of products where I do things like high beam and a whole bunch of other things. So this is signified by the black mount. And otherwise the companion comes with a silver mount indication. So on the back, the companion is orange when you're recharging the buffer and green when it's full, and also green when you're running directly from the Dynamo. Stalker is violet or purple while you're recharging the buffer, and it gets blue once it's full. LED inside, the companion has a single LED, the Stalker has an LED matrix. Both are dimmable, you have intensity control, and both come as standard with 5700K, which is automotive white. The companion comes in a special edition, which is signified by the blue mount. This is what I call clarity. This is 4000 Kelvin and 98 almost perfect color rendering, which is quite suiting to the eyes. Not really stressful. You lose a bit, like 90 lumens out of the 660. So you have about 550 total. But overall it is still plenty bright. Control mode, so how you control them, they both have a remote control. So in the companion, long press turns it on or off. So let me do it. There you go. In the companion, you decide whether you're running directly from the Dynamo or going to the buffer battery, and you have 3 intensities in each mode. So with one click you go to the intensities. Right now you're going to the buffer battery, so you're on battery low, battery medium, battery high. With a double click you go directly to Dynamo and you stay in the same mode. There you go, Dynamo high, and again you cycle back Dynamo low, Dynamo medium, Dynamo high, Dynamo low, double click, you're recharging the buffer and going to the buffer battery. And with a long press you switch it off. And the rear light stays on, but it is still connected on Dynamo, so when you stop, it stops as well. There you go. So if you want to have the rear light always on, you just need to keep it on battery mode like it is now. So let me show you, disconnect it. As you see, everything stays on. So there you go, you decide whether it's Dynamo or battery. So let me switch it off. And now we go to the Stalker control. It has automatic power control inside, which I call Shadow Saw, and this decides whether it's using the battery or the Dynamo, and you have no control of it. So again, long press switches it on. There you go, on, high beam goes on. So with a single click you turn the high beam on, with double click you change the intensity. You have 2 modes, half power and full, and this is applicable whether you have the high beam or no. So let me see, right now in your base state, you put the high beam, with double click you go to full power, with single click you switch it off, you go to base mode, double click again, you increase the intensity, high beam on, and let me show you that, I'm going to switch it off and it's still going to stay on. So basically, hop, there you go, you see the companion went off, the Stalker is still on, plug it back in. So this is very smooth, but you have no control. It basically, you put it on and you just change the intensity and everything else takes care of itself. So this is probably the part that most of you are interested in, since these are both lights. I mean, how powerful are they? So It's very simple. The companion, since all the light goes towards, the road, it is much brighter. You can see it right now. And the Stalker has a high beam here on top, but while the total amount of light is more, what goes on the road is a bit less. I mean, this is split 50-50. Well, not exactly, but it's split like this. So, and this is the companion with the clarity option, which is the 4000K LED, which is about 550 lumens, I want to say. While with the 5700K, this is even brighter. So it's real simple. If you really want the most light to the road, and for primarily road riding, this is perfectly fine. You get the companion. If you want the high beam function, you get the Stalker. And let me show you. So if I'm going to switch the high beam off, as you can see, the companion is certainly quite bright. USB circuit is exactly the same in between both, and in both the circuit is driven by the internal battery, or in this case it can be driven by the dynamo. And in the companion, the internal battery is recharged in about, I want to say, hour and a half or faster. Like this is from empty, and considering you're not like minus 20. While the Stalker, the internal battery charges in about 3 hours, I want to say, so about twice as long. But like I mentioned, because of the power flow control, it can route the power where you need it. The companion charges the buffer because it relies directly from the buffer. It doesn't pass it to. It charges the buffer much faster than the Stalker. Again, the actual USB out is the same in between both. Obviously, take this how you want, but personally, I mean, this is my personal Stalker, and that's what I've been riding. Obviously, also I've been testing the Project X Dynamo, but always in my bag I have a companion with the clarity option, so the blue mount. I'm not the person to ask which one would I pick if I had to pick one, because I make those things, and actually this is what is available. I have a full box of stuff that not even available for sale that I test. I always test new things. I would have both, and actually, because LEDs are quite bright, you don't really need all the power, so clarity is quite nice, quite suiting to the eyes. And a Stalker. Again, I ride primarily this because I'm testing a new Dynamo, but I always have this in my bag. So my recommendation would be either companion in clarity option or the Stalker. And again, I'm gonna give you a personal story which might give you some food for thought as well. Obviously, if you still have the question which one is the right for me, I mean, there's this kind of like a straight line thinking that a lot of people think, well, I do gravel, so I need high beam, or I don't do gravel, I don't need high beam. Obviously, it is not as simple as this, because the bikes we ride in the real world, and the real world is quite complex. So I'm going to give you a personal story. I do ride, besides randonneering, I do like riding in the dark. I mean, that's one of the reasons why, for me, good lights are quite important. I mean, for me, Sunday 5 a.m. is where I really enjoy riding in the dark. And there's something which, I don't want to scare you or anything like this, but riding in the real world is, well, interesting. I mean, cyclists are in a lot of places, including the Netherlands, which I've lived there in 6 years. A lot of times seems an annoyance on the road, or cyclists go on the sidewalk. Where am I going with this story? So bear with me. Just very recently ago, 2 weeks ago, something else, I was riding Sunday. It was like about 5:30, and I was climbing. I mean, there are some cars. I guess some people party or they work shifts, etc. I wasn't really bothering anybody. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I like riding at 5 a.m. And a car pulled next to me, and there were two women inside. They rolled the window down and they started yelling at me, you should go on the sidewalk. I mean, I'm not even going to get into bike advocacy and who should be on the sidewalk or not. But my point is, there's these people among us, there's probably quite a bit of them, then they wake up hating themselves and then they continue hating everybody else. When you're a cyclist on the road and you have a light with a high beam, you might be a bit more annoying than you think. And let me tell you, I mean, a lot of people, like when they're the only car on the road, they put the high beam and they ride at high speed here in the country roads around Paris. And they're blinding me. I don't see the car going. I find it quite annoying. Again, what do? I turn on my high beam. Sometimes it works and they're like, oh yeah, sorry, and then they dip their lights and it's all fine. But one day there might be the combination of the annoyed woman that told me to go on the sidewalk and some drunken idiot, and me putting the high beam on might be like the red towel in front of a bull, and they might start becoming aggressive. And this is not something you want to deal with, and especially if you do like long distance events like I do randonneering, and you're in the middle of the night, you're tired, you forgot what you had on, and you had the high beam on and you're tired, people are drunk and that kind of stuff, you might flash in their eyes with this, and just might be the thing to trigger them. Again, I don't wish it to anybody, but I mean, this is something to consider when you ride on the real world. Yeah, this is very nice to have the high beam on the off-road. I mean, I ride in a lot of forest roads, but you have to keep in mind that we ride on public roads, and there's the annoyed diver, motorist, whatever you want to call them, and just you blinding them. Same reason why I hate absolutely flashing lights, and this is a hill I'm willing to die on. No, with this you might be a bit annoying for them, while with this you always have the deep beam and you won't be as annoying as if you have the high beam on. Like I said, I should be the better person, but sometimes, when cars are going full high beam in my face, I turn it on just to signal, dude, what are you doing? But again, with this you don't have that option. So this is, I mean, personal story, because a lot of people think, yeah, I'm doing off-road and gravel, I need a high beam. If I do only road, I only need this. It's not as simple as this, because let me show you, turn it on. There you go. So I mean, actually this depends where it is. On my bike it's between the handlebars, so it's quite easily accessible. So if it's under a rack or something, maybe not so much, but I mean, you can just tilt it a bit, and then it's not the same as a high beam, and again, you need to do it. It's not as simple as pressing a button like on this one. And again, the high beam is higher, obviously, but again, when moving this, it can just, this is a bit of a experience and something that obviously my things are designed on the road, they're not just designed on the bench here. So this is something to tell you, to keep in mind, that cyclists are seen as an annoyance, and how much more you want to give and ammunition you want to give to people, sometimes literally. I mean, we are not in Texas where everybody's armed and everybody's nice when they drive, so this is just something to tell you out there.